Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNup, and today I am making a tutorial on how to make your computer more automated with batch files. So you can end up just, when you crank up your computer, you can have everything like you want it. So if you go to a certain website every time that you use your computer, or just about every time, or use certain programs, say for work or whatever, then what can happen is you can use a batch file to get that. Or say for example, if at some point you put in a code quite a bit, say for example when I'm making a home pass for my systems, I put in a lengthy code quite a bit, and in order for me to just bypass that, where I can just double click something and go with it, I'm using a batch file for that. There's many things you can use a batch file for, but for the most part, there's a bit I'm going to talk about here, and this is going to be very detailed. Now, as far as things goes, because we're going to some coding and some core files and startups and start files and stuff like that, I have to say a quick disclaimer before we jump in. Because we're dealing with all these things on a computer, it's possible that something on your computer can go wrong. But if you follow what I say, you should be fine. But if something does go wrong, then it's not my head, since I physically didn't touch your computer. Feel free to ask questions. Nothing major should go wrong, if anything does go wrong at all. In fact, I'm going to pull up some errors and show you what happens when something does go wrong. But you should be fine no matter what. Now, as far as batch files goes, it's pretty easy to make them, and I'm going to show you a couple examples before we get really deep into what I'm using one for right now. But as far as things goes, let's get into how to make them. What you need to do is go wherever you want, and just on obviously Windows, you need to go wherever you want, and I suggest going to Documents, going to folder, or wherever that you can put your batch files all together. And you can do this in Dropbox or wherever. I personally just did them on Documents, and I sabbatially linked them into Dropbox. But so yeah, basically just right click, go to new text document, and since I already got one right here, let's open that up. Go to File, Save As, put in whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to leave it as is. On the end, put period, BAT, and press enter, and as you see here, a new batch file was made. If you try to run it right now and error comes up, it's not a big deal. It's just saying that there's no code. Basically it says it's not compatible, but it's because there's no code in it, as you can see. So let's look at one that has code. Let's keep that up. Let's look at one that has some code. Edit, and as we see here, this is the same or similar code that is used with one of my previous videos on the second method for how to make a virtual router. Now with that, I use a virtual router for home pass, so that means that I end up using a virtual router quite a bit. In fact, I almost always run one. And because of that, if the software doesn't work that I was using for the virtual router, which for some weird reason it doesn't work anymore, I can put in a code and I will have 100% chance that it would work. At least that I've never seen it not work. So basically with this, what we have here is it stops a virtual router, it sets one up and names it ATT Wi-Fi, sets up the password for it, starts it, then it goes into the opens up the network. Now because this particular batch file, this code requires to be in administrator mode. One thing I suggest, if you're going to run this a bit, which is the reason why you want to make a batch file, is make a shortcut. Right click on the shortcut, go down to properties, go to shortcut within the properties, go to the advanced, and click on Run as Administrator. And that way you just have to double click it and it runs as Administrator. Simple as that. So let's do that. And as you see here, it opens up this. It's sorry about that. This bottom code, it opens up this. Now I could do something like exit 0 if the command prompt doesn't close when I run the batch file, and that will force it to close. So let's save that because it needed to have it anyways, at least for my sake. So anyways, the reason why I have this coming up, simply so I can sell it to share. It's already sharing, but basically I'll have to go down to properties and give it a second or two and press share and make sure it's sharing with the right one, which it is again. But basically, instead of having them write all of that code and hunting for that in the command prompt area, I can just click on that one thing and the whole thing's done pretty much. I just have to make sure it's sharing. That's it. It's not a big deal. So as far as things goes, what else can you do with batch files? Well, you can open up programs, as you saw. You can also open up websites and some other stuff, and I'll get into that in a second. But we can do a countdown. This is actually quite interesting, and this is why I left that here. So I got a countdown right here, and let's just copy this over so I don't have to really type everything out. Let's close that. And we're making a countdown. Basically what this does, in fact, let me open up command, and this doesn't require it to be an administrator, it's just a countdown. It's a basic function. So let's do the timeout /t and do, I don't know, 5, and that's 5 seconds. Whatever number, so 1 is 1 second, 1,000 is 1,000 seconds, so let's do 5. And as you see here, it does a countdown, and then once it's done, it'll go to the next line. So we do a pause, and you can see it does a pause. Sorry about that mistype. And then it's going to work the exact same thing. Then exit. So as far as that goes, what we need to do is timeout, pause, timeout, T. Let's do 5. Let's do 3 here, and then exit 0. And let's save that. Let's close that. And let's run it by simply double clicking it. And if you want to run it as administrator, again, if you're doing an automated tool whenever you first crank up your computer, I'll show you how to run it as administrator without doing a shortcut. But if you're not using an automated tool like task schedule, then you need to do that. Other words, you have to right click and go to run as administrator. But let's just do that. As you see here, it does a countdown from 3 seconds. It did a pause command, as you saw before. Press the key. It's done a countdown for 5 seconds, and then it's doing an exit, and it closed. Simple as that. So let's clear off that, and let's take a look at another batch file that I made. Now, as far as this batch file goes, this batch file is actually currently being used for whenever I start my computer. So let's take a look at that. And basically what this does is it does a timeout. So it does timeout for 30 seconds. So it does a 30-second countdown. And this is actually quite interesting, because if you want to do a timeout, then have it play a sound, so it's like an egg timer, then you can do that. It's kind of pointless, but you can do that. But anyways, go back on track. We're doing a 30-second countdown and doing basically everything on this. Then beyond that, we're doing a start another batch file and then start another batch file, then clear it. It's very important if you want one code to be above another one or start before another one, it needs to be above the other one. So for example, if I want this app to start before the web, I'll have to do the app before web. Simple as that. Then when it goes into the app, because that's the easiest one to explain, we got another countdown for 1 second, start speed fan, another countdown for rain meter, and basically that starts this in the background. Then another countdown starts the VPN, and then it closes it. Now, real quick, what happens if you run this? And I suggest what you do when you're making your batch files is do it separately like this if you want, but I prefer to do it separately like this, and that way you can test it. And instead of doing an exit at the very end, do it a pause, and what that will do is it will require you to press something in order for the command prompt to close, so if any errors are caught, you can actually see them. So that's the best way to do it, at least from how I run batch files, and that way when you're troubleshooting again, you get the errors in command prompt at that time. Other words, it may close way too quickly before an error comes up. An error that might come up will be this application, we can't find this application. It's basically, you want to say something towards that degree for something like this. But what happens if that happens? What do you do? Well, it's pretty simple. We go into command or control panel. From here, we go into system, and there's two ways to get here. Go to advanced settings. Pretty much click on any of these besides device manager. Basically, anything right here, like system protection, I just have to go to advanced. And go to the, let's close this. Go to the environment variable, and let's scroll down to path. Click edit. Put semicolon if the one's not already there. And then what you need to do is find the thing. So say for example, speed fan. Speed fan's the closest one. Maybe. Let's go to the left a little bit so we can actually see the full. And as you see here, speed fan. So it can't find speed fan. What do we do? In fact, let's do that. What error comes up when we try to run it? Let's run a pause. And what was that app? So an error comes up, says we can't find it. Again, that's essentially. Let's close that out. Again, it's on pause, so it wouldn't run on the next one. In fact, let's leave the pause there. What you want to do is find speed fan in here, somewhere. Just search for it wherever it is. Right click it, go to properties, and right here, you want everything before the whatever it is, exe or whatever. Basically, you want the folders, and you don't want a quotation. So C, program, speed fan, and that's that. Now that I already have that, let's go down to path. Let's go to that, Control V, and then I prefer doing there semicolon, so that's all you have to do. And make sure that this little thing's in, and that way it finds it. So, in fact, should have it in here. So as far as that goes, it's now going to say I'm going to search in this area for SpeedFan, and I'll get into a little bit more on this in a second. So now let's run it real quick. Give it a second or two, and SpeedFan should be coming up. In fact, it came up on my second monitor. It takes a second or two to be able to move it, and there we go. I highly suggest this application, by the way. It's a free application. The thing found it, and it was able to open it based on that. So how did that work exactly? Let's minimize that. Let's close this out. Basically, what it did is within that path directory, all the little, let's go back to path, all the little things, as you see here, we have one line, one address here, another address. Each one of these semicolons are breaking off from one address to the next. And what's happening is, instead of the batch files searching for a program in each and every corner of your hard drive, and your hard drive might be several terabytes that has a search for it will only search for it in those given areas. So it makes your entire process a lot quicker, because if I search several terabytes, it's probably quicker for you to just type it in yourself or do whatever you want yourself. So it makes it a lot quicker on the computer, a lot easier on the computer too. But it tells it this is where it is. And basically what's happening is it says start, and you put in the actual file name. So it's, say for example, this speedfan.exe, and if it can't find that within that, then it'll basically say that error. So anyways, let's clear that, and let's talk about the web. So for this, I have it where it times out at 30 seconds, basically counts down from 30 seconds. And that way it gives it a chance for everything in the applications to start up and run, and it shouldn't interfere with anything. Unless if I'm like really in a rush, I can cancel all this stuff out by just pressing X on them, and I've done that before. But as far as that goes, basically with this, it starts Chrome, and it tells it to put in this website. And so to reason out, starts Firefox and puts in the website, and then it starts another batch file, and it clears this one out. And there's a reason why I have these batch files separated, because I might make different commands for different things in the future, and I want to have the minimized batch file separated. So from there, it starts a countdown. It was originally 200 seconds. Again, basically timeout /T. These numbers are one set per second. So basically, 1 is 1 second, 100 is 100 seconds. So it does a 100-second countdown. It starts a program. I get this program for free. Basically, it allows you to do a batch file that will do a few things. But one of the things it does is allows the batch file to actually control hotkeys. As far as if you go on your computer right now, have a couple windows open, and you hold down the Windows button, the button that makes the start go up, and D at the same time, it will actually minimize all of the windows. And basically that's what it's going to do. So basically it gives it 100 seconds for the browsers to come up and do whatever they need to do, and minimizes them all. The reason why it's a 100-second wait is simply that I've seen Chrome take a very long time to crank up. If you got a lot of plugins on it, it will take a while. If you got virtually no, it'll probably take you almost no time for it to crank up. whereas I got quite a bit on it, so yeah. But anyways, from there it X's out that, so it makes sure the command prompt closes down. The reason why I put these exit commands on here again is to make it where the command prompt will shut down, because I've had it a few times where sometimes the when the match file ends, the command prompt ends, but a lot of times some of these, especially anything after the first, basically the web, minimize an app, it stayed open, and I didn't like that at all. Now, how to actually run this at startup is actually pretty simple. There's several methods. I'm going to show you two of them. There's three. The third one goes through registry keys, and I've had success with that myself, and I see the margin of error like massively so. So we're just going to go with the two that I personally don't see anyone messing up. So as far as that goes, let's go into the start. Let's go into, type in the thing shell colon start and press enter. And as you see here, we have basically this is where everything should go if you want it to start up whenever your computer logs in. Now, there's a lot of people who's been reporting for a long time, even back in Windows XP, that this doesn't work at times. Some people, they have great success with this, others not so much. I personally hand it. I mean, it's a hit or miss. Some things open up, others don't, and it's again a hit or miss. So the other way to do it is by going down to, whenever you go and start, go to all programs, should be somewhere around administrator tools, and then go to task schedule. And for this, you want to create a new task. Let's go and just name it whatever, since I'm not gonna okay it. Since if you want it to have administrator rights when you run the batch file, you need to make sure that you click this. You don't need a shortcut if you run it like this. If you run it like the other method, you do need a shortcut there, and you need to make sure it says administrator right on properties. But for this, basically whatever it opens up, it will open up in administrator rights. So name it whatever. Say your trigger is, give it a second or two, log on. I don't advise startup, do log on. You can do startup if you want, but you can delay it if you want. And specifically I do the log on, and I delay mine for 30 seconds. So I got a 30-second delay on here and another 30 seconds for the countdown. And the reason why I'm doing that is allow the drivers to load up in case they need to. Because most of the time when I'm actually working on the computers, it's for hours and hours and hours and hours. So it cranking up like that doesn't matter too much, especially if it's on my desktop that doesn't go anywhere. For a laptop, it's completely different, so it can be a different scenario for you. But anyways, make sure that you put for log on. And if you want to do a startup, then it's fine. And then if you can do a delay, it's fine. Everything else should be alright. Action, go to new, go to the start program, and browse, and find the thing on your desktop, and click whatever it is that you want it to start up. So for here, I want it to start this. It'll do that. Press OK. And I can see here, and everything else should be fine. Now I've already have this, and pretty much with all of these, just click a random one. If you want to test it out, you can press run and allow it to run. If you want to change it, go down to properties, and you can see this is just a random one, and that's that. I mean, it's pretty basic. So anyways, let's actually close everything and simulate the starting up. So this is what my background looks like when I don't have anything on it. And let's start it up and let's run it.
Philadelphia uplink successful. Welcome back, Commander.
So anyways, if you have any questions or whatnot, feel free to come here to techreviewsnup.com, go to contact us, and my email is on there, or you can leave a comment below and I'll try to help you out as quickly as possible. I'll have links below to some of the software that I'm using. The Near CMD, it's a free software. It allows for the hotkeys to be used. I'll also leave links below to other videos that I've done that relates to this, like the second method for the virtual router. But anyways, this has been Craig Bent, founder owner of TechReviewsNup, and if you got any questions, feel free to leave a comment below again. And I hope you like this, and please subscribe and please share, and I hope you have a great day.